For years I dwelled in darkness, content with the likes of Skyrim and Fallout. But now my eyes have been opened. I have bore witness to a world of such exhaustive detail, characters of great endearment, and stories abound that it shattered my perception of what a video game can be. I have ascended, and it would be my great honor to
Oh my god, a skeleton!
Shut the hell up, lady! Can't you see I'm praising here? God. What is it with people in this city? It's like they've never seen a skeleton before.
23 years sure is a long time to wait for a third entry in a highly praised series, but after almost 3 years in early access, the insane folks at Larian Studios made it happen. They must be insane because not only did they take on such a mammoth project, but they actually succeeded. They succeeded so hard that Baldur's Gate 3 has an all-time peak of over 800,000 players just on Steam. To put that in perspective, The Witcher 3 on Steam, only 100,000. Monster Hunter World, almost 350,000. So in terms of BG3's success, I think it's fair to use the term gangbusters. I've been a fan of D&D for years now, but sadly I've never actually gotten to play it. See all these swell 5th edition books? I've never been able to use them. I have used this one though, fried halfling fingers, very delicious indeed. If you're like me and have always wanted to play, then this game is perfect for you. It's gonna sound corny, but if I were suddenly sucked into my 5e books, this world is exactly what I imagine it would look like. It's rich with D&D mechanics, magic spells, fantastical races, mysterious items, and of course, the monsters. Owlbears, driders, and goblins, oh my. And the most radical of all, mind flayers. If undergoing Ceramorphosis means I get to look as cool as these guys, then it's almost worth getting one of their tadpoles forcibly implanted in my brain. Ugh, grody. That's the kind of material we're starting off with, folks. Instead of killing rodents of unusual size in a tavern basement, we're held captive on a mind flayer ship, infected with a brain parasite, and then the ship gets attacked by dragon-riding Githyanki. We hop dimensions a couple times and fight a bunch of demons that invade the ship. This is how you kick off a game. You do eventually get spit out onto a beach to start your adventure proper, which is surprisingly similar to the start of Larian's previous game, Divinity Original Sin 2. He'll probably be fine. You should be fully prepared to spend up to an hour in character creation, and love every second of it. What's more fun in D&D than crafting a persona for an adventure? For my race, I went with Tiefling, because it reminds me of the darkness inside me. And my chosen class, which turned out to be the least popular among players by a ginormous margin, became the Cleric, because it's the only way to control the darkness inside me. Also, it's my favorite character from the D&D beat-em-up. Sadly, no sticks to snake spell in BG3. Watching this footage back, I realized I goofed and went with the light domain instead of life, which focuses on healing. But that's okay, because thanks to my diligent exploration, I found an undead guy who hangs out at my camp and can reset my class for a fee.
Can I touch your face?
No. That's one of the great things about this game. Wandering off the beaten path often leads to meaningful treasures, encounters, and quests. I once found myself in an owlbear's den with a chest that I couldn't figure out how to open, and Big Mama herself. I slayed the beast, spared the child, and now I have an owlbear cub hanging around my camp that I can pet whenever I want. And then a few hours later, I walked in on a bugbear taking an ogre to the bone zone.
Smash! Oh, smash you!
Thank you, nudity filter. I've encountered so much cool stuff in my 40 hours that almost every time I said, okay, this area seems uneventful, I can stop recording for a bit, I would quickly be proven wrong and scramble for the record button yet again. Nearly every character, save for the kids, has quality voice acting, with top-notch writing to take full advantage of it. Some characters are so verbose and extravagant with their wordplay that it was refreshing to talk to a dumb ogre. Except never mind, because even ogres can be sharp wordsmiths.
A serenade to my ears and a boon to my belly. We've a bargain, my tasty kibble.
Are you hitting on me? Of course, the best writing is reserved for party members, and hoo boy, these folks, they are something else. You know they're well written when you can't wait to start a new playthrough to try a new party. Though try as I might, I don't think there's any way I could play without my boy Asterion around. Any traps or locks I come across, he handles with all the efficiency of holy magic on an undead. And I don't care if you're gay, straight, a boy, girl, or a nematode, you will giggle like a schoolgirl at some of his dialogue.
How dare you? I thought we had something special. Still, you're nice too.
Please don't take this out of context. It's not what it looks like, I swear. I didn't trust Gale at first. He's one of the more wordy characters, which made me think he was trying to flatter me into dropping my guard around him. And while he does have something to hide, he wound up being a really nice guy. There was a great scene where he explained the weave and how it's the source of all magic. He even gave me a little lesson in controlling it, which totally would have led to romance options if I had allowed it. Also, the dude's a fountain of good life lessons.
Those who seek danger over cheese don't tend to live as long.
Wise words from a hungry man. As for his usefulness as a party member, he's a wizard, and that meant my one goal for him was to learn Fireball as quickly as possible, because there's nothing better than a good old-fashioned fistful of fire. Will. Aw man, he was definitely the hardest cut I had to make. He's a so-called Sword of Frontiers, a protector of the people. With a title like that, you'd assume he'd be a paladin or something, right? Nah, he's a warlock. And as soon as I realized that, I said, uh-oh. See, the thing about warlocks is their power doesn't come for free. It comes from a pact with an otherworldly being like an archfey or a demon. And if you refuse to follow an order given by said being, the punishment can be quite dire indeed.
There are spikes in places there really shouldn't be.
Ew. Why did he receive this punishment, and why did I cut him from the group? It's because in my playthrough, I convinced him not to kill his target. A target that when I first saw her, my fears that I wouldn't find a romance option that suits my discerning and highly sophisticated tastes were washed away in an instant. And her name is Karlach. A battle-hardened tiefling with an infernal engine for a heart who was forced to engage in bloody combat in hell for years, and all she wants is a hug. God, I love her. She is awesome. And she's also one of my most valuable assets in combat. What makes her so powerful? Simple. She gets angry. Is that all it takes to get strong? Hell, I could do that. Divinity 2 was great and all, but I had a bit of a tough time building my character. Had to look up a guide on a really cool life drain type build. However, thanks to the D&D license and my rudimentary knowledge of 5th edition, creating strong characters is now much more manageable. It can still be a little overwhelming due to the oodles and oodles of options, but it's the good kind of overwhelming. The kind that makes people want to have multiple playthroughs with different builds. 40 hours in, and besides looking bamf as hell, my cleric is tankier than an ambulance and healier than one too. I love using Beacon of Hope to ensure maximum efficiency from my heals, and then using my bonus action on the same turn to cast an AoE heal, which thanks to my equipment bonuses applies Bless and temporary hit points to my crew, and I can do much more than that. I like to let enemies surround me and then decimate them with Radiance of the Dawn. I think going light domain was the best mistake I've ever made. I can even summon an immobile guardian that automatically pumps out a ton of damage on anything within range. I don't get why this is the least popular class. Clerics are radical. Barbarians benefit from not having armor equipped, so I gave Karlach the Tough feat to increase her max hit points by 2 for every level. Now everything that survives her multiple attacks per turn will have a buttload of hit points to plow through. And don't forget, I'm a healing machine. She's basically invincible on my watch. I'm slowly realizing Gale's true potential as a flinger of fire. Turns out wizards can benefit greatly from setting themselves ablaze and then using that heat to power up their fire spells. But if you know anything about D&D, then you're well aware of the bag of tricks these guys have. Wanna fly, be intangible, and fit through small holes with just one spell? Then gaseous form is your workhorse. Seriously, I've solved a ton of problems with it. Hypnotic Pattern is fantastic for immobilizing a huge group of enemies, if you're not stupid and don't self-immolate right after, causing damage and breaking concentration. What can I say, I really put the dur in Baldur's Gate. The only party member that currently isn't making a substantial impact on combat is Astarion, but he more than makes up for it with his mastery of unlocking.
It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
There's a really great thing in the early game where sharp-eyed players can find environmental ways to deal a bunch of damage. That's a smart way to ensure repeat playthroughs don't start out as boring slogs with weak party members. Here's a tip: if you ever find yourself in a video game, don't stand next to the explosive barrels.
What the fuck?
I would complain about the poor performance and crashes on my rig, but I'm pretty sure my CPU is cooking itself due to not having the thermal paste changed in years. I'm gonna try fixing that soon. May Linus have mercy on my soul. Besides that, I guess the soundtrack is a little underwhelming, and I don't like how it's always gonna be tempting me away from my work in the future. How's that for a complaint? Game's so damn good that I can't trust myself with it. This may be Dungeons & Dragons, a dark universe where gnolls are born by bursting from the stomachs of still-living hyenas, and where mind flayers snack on human brains, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for plenty of humor and humanity in Baldur's Gate 3. Like that time I met a worshipper of the pain god, which led to me taking a literal pounding from behind. Meanwhile, Karlach is laughing her ass off, Astarion's way into it, and I'm sitting on the couch slack-jawed at what I allowed to transpire. It was hilarious. And on the flip side, I once made the mistake of being interested in Will one day teaching me how to dance. I didn't think much of it at the time, I was just enjoying the conversation. And well, sure enough, he eventually made good on my request. Of course, I only have eyes for Karlach. Turning him down was hard enough, but then the game made it one of the biggest gut punches I've experienced in a long time. That right there, that's real, and that's why I love this game. Examine it from any angle and you'll find at least a dozen indicators of Larian's commitment and hard work. I paid $60 and I still feel like I got a bargain. Even if I never get to play tabletop D&D, that is okay, because I have the best D&D video game that will ever exist. Yes, even better than the beat 'em up. Well, how about that? I just rolled a nat 20 to get you to subscribe. Nah, seriously, nothing would make me happier than hitting 10k subs before the end of the year. And if you like this video, I have a bunch more like it, including a big one about shmups coming up in October. Until then, this is A Skeleton, signing out.